entitled Mod Nation Racers, iRacing's new build, and triple screens with ATI Eyefinity technology.
This show is sponsored by Sim Raceway. Welcome to Inside Sim Racing. I'm Jessica Lopez.
And I'm Shaun Cole, and welcome to the fastest show on the internet.
That's right, and this is episode number 76, and we're going to start out by giving a SO, I wanted to say shout out, SO to Mark Payne, who is a driver in which we are sponsoring, and he's driving in the Podium Assault Racing team over at iRacing.
That's right, and like you said, sponsored by Inside Sim Racing, and he's driving the Drivers' World Championships over at iRacing.
He's actually in the top 20, and he started his career 2 years ago, starting out with Gran Turismo 5 Prologue, and made it to the top 20 in the World Championship. So we'd like to wish him luck, and we also like to thank him for driving in our logos, or flying in our logos.
And I'm going to point out, we say it all the time, it's one of these guys on a console game that's going to end up being the next Gregor Hutu of the world. So there he is, making waves.
All right, we're going to start off today's show with a title by Sony, exclusive for the PSP and for the PS3.
Right.
Mod Nation Racers.
You know, I should take that because you got our PSP version and we never saw it again.
Give that back to me. I've been playing it for the past couple weeks. It's been in the studio for a couple weeks. We've been having a little fun with it. Initially, I thought, and so did Shaun, that it looked more like a child's game.
Yeah.
We were fooled.
Very much so.
It is very similar to Mario Kart, but in difference, you do get to create your drivers, your own kart, and a track, or you get to customize it, fully customizable, everything.
Yeah, any track. I mean, they got different, you got the alpine, the seaside, the jungle, and the desert.
Shaun created a track in the desert, and they have this instant gratification when you create the track. It instantly lays out the track for you.
Yeah, and then just like it populates, puts everything, all the jumps, the power-ups, and everything you need to complete the track.
And they have a cool online community where you can take advantage of other people's track creations or players, and also players can play your track as well.
Yeah, actually, if you make a track, you upload it, and a lot of people download it, you'll get creation experience points, so you're rewarded for it.
And I enjoyed the commentary by the commentators.
This is
pretty funny.
Yeah, this is great stuff. It's kind of like the movie Toys or Cars, Toy Story or Cars, but you got a lot of adult humor in a cartoon way, and it's, I mean, in a first-person shooter, after like maybe 3 or 4 cutscenes, I'll fast forward. On this game, I want to watch them all, I mean, for sure.
To kart historians. A veteran racer himself, Chief's career ended in tragedy with a king-sized wreck in turn 3 of the championship race 25 years ago.
Man, I love that wreck. It just keeps going, doesn't it, Gary? Ah, that's the stuff.
We don't know why the Chief has decided to come back after all these years, but whatever the reason, Tag is in good hands.
Good hands. Maybe if you want to wreck your cart, roll that clip again.
The home tour begins now. The winner of the tour will earn a parts package sponsored by the Chickinator. Cock-a-doodle-doom.
What the heck is that?
And within the game, you can collect power-ups, which are things such as missiles and bombs, and you can use them to slow your opponents down. And
or get your shield so you can hopefully protect yourself and make it to the finish line.
We had a whole lot of fun with this title. So we put it on our rev scale, which is our basic 1 to 10 scale, and gave it a, drum roll please.
It's 10s across the board. I mean, there's nothing about this game that I wouldn't say is top notch. I mean, it's really fun. It's very deep. It's
a
very
family fun game.
Yeah, anybody. I have friends who, I'm sorry guys, but you suck at sim racing. You suck at driving in general. But this is the type of game that even they can handle.
You can go ahead and test your creativity out with this title. Lots of fun. It is recommended for everyone out there, and especially younger children or teenagers who are looking to get into sim racing in the future. This is a great way to start.
Yeah.
And with learning on how to build your own mod.
Yeah, or your own track. And the other thing I like about it, especially when you get online, is there's so much creativity that you can use, and by the time you're done, you have a unique character, and you will not see somebody else who looks like you on the race. I love that.
Got some bad news, Tag.
That cart is a tomb on wheels.
What Chief meant to say is that we can't afford these constant repairs to your cart.
She'll explode in a black mushroom cloud of annihilation.
Again, not how I would put it, Chief.
Next up, we have Top Sim Cars.
And on the bubble today is the Ferrari 575. So
On the bubble.
yeah, meaning that if something outscores it, which is likely, it will be dropped from the list.
All right, so here you have it. Top simulation cars of all time, sponsored by simraceway.com.
The home of online racing.
All right, here we are for top simulated cars of all time, and it's bump time again.
Once again, on the bubble today, the Ferrari 575 from GTR 2.
You sure about that?
It is the 575.
Okay, he mistakenly, never mind. So, we got the Vintage Formula V by Strava, and you can get it up at rFactorCentral.com, and you can vote on it there.
Yeah, and it's done very well in the voting.
Yep. And you can one-click install it. One-click install is now available at rFactor Central, so you can try it out there.
Which is cool. This is one of the best cures for rFactor, one of the things that I think rFactor's needed for a long time, so now you have a place you can do it that way.
Yep. So, a little bit about the car. This is a Vega made by Bobsey. That's the type of Formula V that it is. Formula Vs were started, or the concept or class is based on a 1963 Volkswagen Beetle. Basically, stripped down, it's the motor, tranny, brakes, and it's put into a little formula car.
Yeah, suspension as well. And then,
some modified parts. But anyway, this thing has like no horsepower.
65, I think.
So it's a little bug engine. 64 horsepower.
You know, the thing about the Formula V, this is the starting point for anybody in full-bodied cars who got into like an SCCA racing.
Yeah.
This is just, I mean, anybody who started a racing career probably sat in a Formula V at some point.
Yep. And it's got a 1200cc motor we talked about, little bug motor. They based this one on 66 or mid to late 60s. And one of the cool things about this mod, there's three different versions. There's the Wedge, the Bobsey, and the Vega. But one of the really cool things about this mod, what was it, Shaun?
What?
You forgot already?
Yeah.
What did you see driving out of pit lane?
Oh my God, this was the coolest thing I've ever seen. An old school, like Jeff Spicoli VW van.
A VW van. Man, I have some memories of VW vans from high school. Besides the Spicoli van. I don't even know if that was a VW van in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but anyway, I had a buddy that had a VW van, but there's a VW van at the end of pit lane as the pace car, which was really cool.
Flashing lights and everything.
So it's a really popular, you know, affordable open wheeler. I read on Wikipedia you can get one now. 2008, a brand new ready to race car would cost about $15,000. So that's ready to go.
And it's still the same mentality in terms of parts and everything, but looking at them, they're much evolved in the current day form.
So the 575 get bumped?
575, well, here, I'll rattle off some scores. We'll see how it did.
Let's go.
Physics, 18 out of 20. Sounds, 14 out of 15. Models, 8 3/4 out of 10. Cockpit, 8 3/4 out of 10. Fun factor, 9 1/4 out of 10. Immersive, 9 out of 10. Force feedback realism, 8.5 out of 10. Damage, 4 out of 5. Skins, 5 out of 5. And the default set, 5 out of 5, giving it a total of 90 1/4, which absolutely bumps the Ferrari.
Yeah, the Ferrari's in the high 70s, so that definitely bumps it. You know what? Ferrari was an early rated car, so we probably underscored it a little bit.
I think so.
So it probably should have been in the 80s, but it's still gone. See you later, Ferrari.
Someone's got to take the
How'd you guys like the taps in that last episode for the VHR truck? I thought that was great. Shaun put that in. So anyway, it's definitely bumped. That car's bumped. And now this puts it where on the list? This puts it
10th.
10th. So that's right where last week's car was.
Yeah, and the thing I'm going to recommend about this one is there are, like you said, 3 different models to choose from, a bunch of paint jobs to choose from. So this is ready. I mean, if you have a group of people and you want to have some fun racing, get this mod, run it, you'll race it over and over for the whole weekend probably.
Eastern Creek is the track that we're running. You can get that also at rFactor Central. Mention lap times. Now, we don't know the exact time because we didn't have it down here. No, we didn't have the race running. But
there they are.
Yeah. Shaun ran a 202, we'll just say like a mid 202. I ran like a 204 in it. So let's say a 203. But you know, you want to go out and check lap times. We're not going to do anything official yet, but we ran like a 202, 203, 204 at Eastern Creek. Running against the AI, make sure you have it cranked up to at least 100%. Damage was cool.
Yeah, damage. We were blowing things off the car left and right.
Yep. Physics were a lot of fun. You know what? One thing I really found about this car at Eastern Creek was it was so slow.
Right.
At Eastern Creek was like a different track.
It was. All the braking points were completely different. Turn-ins.
The rumble strip turned into like mounds instead of just bumps. I mean, but it was cool. I mean, you could basically almost put all 4 tires across the rumble strip because it was just. The car's just so small.
And I think anybody, whether you're a racer or not, anybody who's had a slow car and wanted more out of it knows that sensation of kind of jumping in the car, hoping it can do a little more. I found myself doing this in this car all the time.
Yeah, it only weighs like 1,000 pounds with the driver, so I imagine I'm going to weigh, the car's going to weigh a little bit more with me in it, but if I even fit, I probably don't even fit one of those things.
They're tiny.
But anyway, that's going to do it. Top simulation cars of all time, sponsored by simraceway.com. And I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one.
Before we move on to our next piece, I'd like to point out our triple screens here.
Pretty snazzy.
Pretty snazzy.
How on earth did we afford this?
Don't ask any questions, Shaun. Just enjoy it. It's here. We're pretty excited about it here in the studio.
So
And
you're going to tell us more about it?
More on that later.
What?
First up, we got some stuff from iRacing. They've got a lot of new changes going on over there. They have their new build, the Richmond Night Racing.
Yeah, the new transmission model, all sorts of cool stuff in that new build. But that's old news.
They've made old news.
Yeah.
All right. Well, to me, it's new news. But they've made some changes on their website, right? You can see how many people are racing at any given time.
Yeah.
And they've made some changes to the transmission, like you mentioned.
But I'm telling you, that's all old news. That
all right.
What
you got for us?
We have exclusive stuff coming from iRacing. Some new. I'm not even going to tell you anything going on. There is a lot of new stuff, and we got a piece here that's going to tell you about it.
All right. Let's check out Shaun's piece.
iRacing's latest build is easily the biggest and most significant update to the sim since its original release. We covered the night racing at Richmond that is now available, as well as some enhancements to damage that have come to the sim. But this update goes way beyond that, with changes in nearly every aspect of the sim. With the addition of hosted races comes the need for administrative controls to properly steward the session. A whole checklist of these commands have been added to accommodate that need. Virtually every car in the sim has seen some sort of update or fix. High on the demand list from Mini Sim Racer was Fixed Setup Racing. This is now available in the form of both a hosted session as well as limited iRacing series offering Fixed Setup Racing. To add to the entertainment value of iRacing, there is now Spectating Sessions. You can watch the racing action live and chat with other spectators while viewing the race. And to make it easier to race with your friends and personal rivalries, there is also a new online status tab within iRacing. You can see your friends that are online and even directly join the sessions that they are in. And perhaps the biggest or most noticeable change is the new transmission and shifting model. The new model first takes into account the type of car you're in, and then it will mimic the type of shifting action that that car has in real life. Cars that have sequential gearboxes cannot be shifted with an H-pattern shifter. Depending on the type of gearbox, it may be necessary to match revs before attempting to shift. Otherwise, you're going to hear grinds, clunks, and other wrong noises and fail to grab the gear you were looking for. There's going to be a very large learning curve when it comes to these new transmissions. Using auto clutch and auto blip will make things easier, but I can tell you that in our initial testing in the Daytona prototype, that came at a half-second per lap penalty. There are 5 different types of transmissions to deal with: fully automated sequentials, dog box sequentials with throttle cut, dog box sequentials, dog box H patterns, and synchromesh H patterns. Practice makes perfect, and that will be the key to shifting with the new models. Looking to the future, iRacing has been focusing much attention to content. In talking to Greg Hill about coming content, he was very forthcoming. Here's a sneak peek at some new things coming to iRacing, presented by Greg Hill.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on Inside Sim Racing. I'm here today to show you what to expect in the near future from our cars and tracks. and the art and production departments. So right here you can see behind me, it's Pocono, and we're pretty far along with it actually. We've modeled pretty much all of the objects. You can see as I fly around here, the large grandstand, the unique victory lane structure, all the infield objects. Some of these areas are still placeholder. We're dropping in textures right now, but we're really close to being able to release it. And we expect to release it towards the end of August. You can also see there are areas for the different road courses here. So we're going to have all the different configurations that there are in real life in this version of the track. So it should be very complete. We're also working on Dover, which I'll show you here. It's not quite as far along, but the objects have gone into production, all of the grandstands, and we're going to start working on the track geometry in the next few days, really. I expect that to be the next track that we're going to release after Pocono, so it shouldn't be that long. I don't expect it will take that long. We've already announced to our members and on Facebook that we've been scanning Zolder and Spa, and that project actually just finished up today. So the data is being shipped back, and as soon as it gets here, we're going to put Spa into our production pipeline, high priority, and try to get that to you guys as soon as we can. This is the Williams F1 car. We're really far along with the graphics. We've done all of the texture work, all of the 3D geometry, and put it together, and we have it out racing on a track with some test physics. And the physics guys are hard at work on their end. So it's our goal to get it out to you guys by the end of this coming season, beginning of the next season, season 4. We also have the Mazda, as it's known here as the MX-5 Cup. In Japan is the Roadster, and we're working on that as well. It'll be available in both right and left-hand drive versions, and essentially you buy one and you get both. So it's an option. You can choose, I want to drive on the right side, I want to drive on the left side. Right-hand drive might be more appropriate for the many Japanese tracks that we're going to be releasing soon that we've mentioned to our members in the recent past. Another project that's coming along, we've just started and people are really excited about, oval racing fans, is the Street Stock. And we really hope to get that out to you guys by the end of the year. And we'll share pictures of that, images, as soon as they're ready, but it's not quite at that point yet. So it's going to be an exciting rest of the year for the iRacing content releases, and we're really looking forward to it. So thanks for having me on.
GamePod, the ultimate race rig for those serious about sim racing. Puts you in the driver's seat with all the controls at your fingertips. Be #1 on the road, in the race, in the game. GamePod, the choice of champions.
All right, so back to our triple screens here, which I'm very excited about.
We are all very excited about this.
I am very excited about.
Who doesn't love triple screens?
I don't know. Who doesn't? Yeah, when playing on this, I mean, you're totally surrounded by, you have, you know, views from every angle, so it's very cool. We're glad we have this in the studio now.
Yeah.
How this works to get it on each screen?
Nobody knows. It's magical. Luckily, we run the show. We got a bunch of tech geeks and behind the scenes who just hook it up. No, actually, this is the new ATI 5850 video card using Eyefinity technology, which actually makes triple screens rather easy.
So pretty much you put a video card into the computer and it allows the information to be spread across 3 screens?
That's exactly right. The ATI 5850 card allowed us to do it just like that. And we got to thank AMD because when we contacted them, they just sent us an entire system ready to go with that card and hooked us up.
And Fanatic hooked us up with the cockpit here, right?
The Rensport cockpit and the triple monitor. So our low budget screen is looking so great.
So normally if somebody does have a triple screen and they want to, you know, go ahead and put that to use, they have to get a video card such as the ATI 5850 and install that into their computer.
Absolutely.
I understand now. So Shaun and Darren put a piece together about this whole video card and the setup and everything we got going on here, and here it is.
This episode's top story is sponsored by Race Sim Central, home of sim racing news and forums since the year 2000.
All right, well, here's a little how-to setup or DIY setup triple screens for sim racing. And this is using the Eyefinity technology, and the way to achieve that is by using an ATI graphics card. And you got to use a 5000 series card, and we have a 5850 here. And I'd like to thank AMD, Chris James, for sending us that AMD card and the entire system. And as a matter of fact, I'd like to give you guys the specs of the system here really quick, because we've been asked that many times because we never give specs, but this time I'm gonna. Well, real quick, Shaun's hiding over here in the Rennsport cockpit, by the way, and he's gonna help me demonstrate how to get this all set up. Shaun doesn't know how to set this up, actually. He's kind of heard me talking about it, but I'm gonna walk Shaun through setting up triple screens here really quick.
That should show how easy it is.
Yeah, exactly. And so for starters, system specs. We have an AMD system, obviously, set by AMD. 3.4 gigahertz, Phenom 2 965 Black Edition chip. It's a quad core. Running on a gigabyte motherboard. 4 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte hard drive, 7200 RPM hard drive. I think that's about it. There's a Blu-ray player on here, and the ATI 5850 graphics card.
Nice system.
It is a nice system. And we're just running on the sound, as far as the sound card goes, just running on the onboard. So that's the system. Gonna give you a little more specs on the ATI 5850 graphics card before we get going.
The 5850 has a PCI Express 2.1 bus interface and packs some serious horsepower into one video card. The technical specs include full DirectX 11 support, GDDR5 memory running up to 128 gigabytes per second of bandwidth, ATI Eyefinity multi-display technology that allows 3 displays to act as one large monitor, ATI Crossfire X multi-GPU technology, integrated HD audio controller that outputs in 7.1 channel surround sound over the HDMI port. And at the heart of the 5850 lies an engine clock speed of 725 megahertz and more than 2 teraflops of processing power.
Alright, so there's the specs on the 5850. And they're going for about 300 bucks. I found on Newegg. I also found them on eBay for right around 200 bucks. I think there was some used. And that's about the mid-range 5000 series graphics card. It seems like you could only use 5000 series graphics cards to achieve this Eyefinity. Even I looked to see if the Crossfire worked on the 4000 series cards, and that didn't seem to be the case. Shaun, why don't you start by booting up the Catalyst Control Center? That's where everything takes place as far as getting the software set up. Before that, I'm going to tell you about the hardware as far as getting that set up, because it's not just plug and play. So first off, you need, obviously, 3 monitors. You don't need 3 identical monitors, but you do need at least 1 monitor that supports a display port. And if you've never heard of that, neither had I. A display port is basically like an HDMI. It looks like an HDMI port, but it's a little bit bigger. And it's this very odd cable that only seem to work on certain monitors. Only certain monitors support display ports, and you need a display port cable. Well, I had to go to 3 different stores before I found that cable. Best Buy didn't have it. I think I went to Target or Walmart and Radio Shack.
Right.
Finally found it at Shaun. You found it online at Staples. Here in the U.S., Staples is like an office center. So.
Not a computer store, but an office store.
Yeah, it's an office store, not an electronic store. So mainly for, office supplies, stuff like that. Anyway, 50 bucks for this 6-foot cable, and had to have that to run things. Well, so that's the setup. And again, you only need 1 monitor that supports the display port. The other 2 don't need that. Or you need what's called an active display port adapter, and then you can use that adapter and run like a DVI, a regular monitor, I believe. I don't have it set up like that. I've read problems here and there with that, so I don't recommend that. If you wonder what I'm holding here, this is my pointer for today. I'm your instructor. Well, kinda. I'm gonna do my best to walk you guys through this. But anyway, this is a drumstick. I'm sitting here on a drum throne, so I thought it fitting, and this is the best thing I can use for a pointer. We got an extra monitor set it up, or camera set up over here, so I can point at things, show you guys how to do this. So hopefully I'll do this, give you enough detail to walk through. If not, go to YouTube, check on YouTube. There's lots of really cool videos as far as resources go on how to do this too. That's where I figured out how to do it. So, oh, by the way, Dell 2408 WFP monitors is what we use in here. I'd like to thank Fanatic for sending us that and the rig. These were used monitors, but they're working great. Thanks, Thomas. So anyway, again, setup now. 1 monitor must have a display port, or you need to run the active display port. Then you're going to need the cable, like I mentioned. $50. I also mentioned that. The other two can be run on either DVI cables or there's an HDMI port as well, so you can have an HDMI DVI combo. There's a bunch of different combos, but basically you need to set up 3 monitors, one being a display port. Now, here's my problem, one of my only real problems with this. And my system will not boot the monitors up when the display port is plugged in. I don't know why. I've looked all over. I've talked to my contact, Chris James at AMD. He said he thought that this was flashed with the new firmware, this card, but I seem to have this problem. Doesn't seem to be a big problem across the board because I didn't find that many discussions about it, but it does exist out there.
You just gotta be a little quick.
Yeah, you have to unplug your display port cable. I tried just turning off that monitor, didn't work. I have the display port set up in the middle monitor there. But I just unplug the cable, turn the power on, plug it back in, and everything boots up fine. But that's my only problem. Once I figured that out, I was running just fine. Once you have everything set up hardware-wise, next thing you got to do is set it up in what's called the Catalyst Control Center. Shaun's got it set up here right now, as we can see. And then once you've got that set up, you're going to go into Graphics and then Desktop and Displays. And what you got to do now, right now we have this set up as 3 monitors that are cloned. So they're all showing the same display. So what we're going to do is we're going to group these all together. So our display is going to be like something like 5,000. Our resolution is going to be something like 5,000 by 1,200. Actually, I think it's 5799 by 1,200 once we take into account the bezel. But first of all, we're going to create the group. Shaun's identified the monitors. But what we're going to do is you click up in that corner like Shaun did. Close that there, Shaun, so we can show. There's a little triangle there. You click on that triangle, and you go to Display Group, and go Create Group. Okay? Then it's going to ask you if you want to do 3x1 displays or 1x3. Click on 1x3 real quick, Shaun. That's if you want to have the displays all going straight up in a row, which would be kind of funky. I don't see that working right. So anyway, we're going to go 3x1, which is three displays across, and then hit Accept. Okay? So now that stretches the screens across, as you can see. That's happened. And it's asking, is it in the correct order? Slow down there, Shaun.
Sorry.
I'm not asking you to advance. I need to tell people what we're doing here. Now it's asking, bezel compensation needs to be configured for the new display arrangement. Do you want to compensate for the bezels? Yes, you do. So click yes, and then this screen pops up for you. Okay? And now what this does is this allows you to adjust for the bezels. You see this triangle here, and then you got these arrows here. Now go ahead, Shaun, let's move it so we get that triangle exactly adjusted. So if you see, it just moves the middle screen so it lines up with this screen. And what you want to do is you want to create, basically, you want to have those lines match up so that bezel is compensated for. So you got to pretend like there's basically a missing space there. So looks like we're pretty close. Looks like you may need to come in a little bit more. A little bit more. And then we're good. Once you got that, you click the green button there. Gives you the other side. You make sure that side is okay. It says, are the test patterns correct? If they're not, you just hit no. Go ahead and hit no, Shaun. And then it asks you to do the other side, which you can see on this camera. So then you can adjust there. Actually, why don't you move it in a little bit? Because you're not actually aligned proper. Keep a little bit more. Okay. So once you got those aligned, there's a little checkbox over there. You hit that. And now what that has done is that has created a resolution that's bezel compensated. So you can run like 1920 by 1200 on all 3 monitors times 3, which, you know, or the 1200 stays the same, but the 1920, you multiply that by 3, and that gives you your resolution. But that doesn't give you the compensation for the bezel. If you run just that standard resolution in-game, you're going to get some funky, you know, sections going from monitor to monitor. So what you got to do here is once you got that all done, go to Graphics, and then you go to Desktop Properties, and then you got a selection here for Bezel Compensated. And actually now, since we've actually changed it, depends on where those triangles line up. I told you 5799. We've actually got it lined up at 5760 by 1200 right now. So Shaun, or there's another smaller one, 5040 by 1050. Let's try that one, and then hit apply. Now that's going to adjust these screens for that bezel compensation. Let's say yes. So that's going to keep that, and then hit OK. So now 5040 by 1050 is our in-game resolution that we're going to run. So now we've closed out Catalyst Control Center. Shaun, why don't you go ahead and boot up iRacing for us?
Okay.
Now, iRacing is the only game that I've found that allows you to do some more in-game adjustment based on your bezel. Everything else is going to just, you throw up the resolution, that bezel adjusted resolution, and then it spreads it across the monitors, and that's pretty much it. iRacing allows you to compensate for your eye distance to the monitor, your degrees of how your monitors are set up. Mine are set up at a 45-degree angle right now, so iRacing allows you to set up for that. And then it also allows you to set up for your monitor size and bezel compensation. So it really lets you fine-tune, how those angles, interact. Okay, so Shaun's now booted up iRacing, and the first thing we're going to do is go into Options. And it's already spread across the screens because I had set it up earlier. But go ahead and hit Graphics, and we're at 5040 by 1050. Okay, that's the same graphic setting that we had outside. That's the bezel compensated, and if you look, it's pretty close. I mean, you can't really see it from here. We're going to give you some B-roll here, but you basically want this section to be compensated for. So the lines line up going from here to there. So when you're in car, things aren't awkward, or else you're just going to start getting vertigo. I know I started getting a little dizzy. So once that's done, again, you can set up your angle between screens. I actually set up to 47. That was what I liked the best. Field of view when driving, which is really crucial. You don't want to be sitting too far back in the car. iRacing will give you a preferred field of view setting based on your monitor width, including bezel, your visible width, including bezel, and then your viewing distance. So you want your eye to monitor distance compensated there. Bottom line, once you got that all set up, iRacing's got a little more tweaking to do, but once you got that set up, you're ready to roll. Shaun, why don't you go ahead and start driving, show them what it looks like here. But, I mean, it is definitely a much more immersive experience. And again, the only problems I had were with that data port cable and finding the data port, or display port cable, excuse me. I kept calling it data port, I don't know why. Another thing that iRacing asked you to set up for was there's a 3-monitor checkbox, and it also lets you render each screen separately, which is a cool feature. I read that what that does is it makes it so each screen isn't stretched. I guess there's somewhat of a stretched look on some of the other ones, but this actually renders each screen separately. But I'm going to go over some pros and cons, starting with I'm going to start with the cons. First off, the cost. You're going to need 3 monitors. Actually, in the next show, we're going to show you a really cost-effective way to do 3 screens. Really the budget route. But anyway, if you're going to go this route, it's not going to be cheap. And then the cost of the card, cable, whatever you may need. You're looking at about $1,000. Stand. We built an 80/20 profile tubing stand here. That's pretty versatile. We can pull up any rig we want to it. But cost is definitely an issue. Display port issue, like I mentioned. The boot up issue that I had, that was a con. Space. You're going to need some space. If you're going to have all these monitors set up in a rig. I mean, if you're going to have monitors, most likely you're going to have some kind of rig. I know a couple guys that I've talked to have them set up on a big desk, which that's cool, but man, get a rig, man. This is the way to go.
If you're going to put that much effort into monitors, you need a rig.
Yep. Silent Bob here.
Sorry.
That's okay. Hey, you're welcome to talk. You're part of the show. So space taxes your system more. Now, it's something I didn't mention. You definitely got to lower some settings to handle it, at least on this 5850 card that I was using. I'd imagine if you can run in crossfire mode, which is possible. Maybe your frame rates are better. I don't know. And I think crossfire is like running an SLI for you NVIDIA card users. So it's basically running 2 cards simultaneously. So it definitely taxes the system more. I set mine up with VSync, vertical sync. It's running at 60 frames solid. I have not really seen any dips, even running with a bunch of cars. The other night we ran an SSCA race, and there was 20-plus guys, Grand Am start at, I think right here where Shaun's running, Road Atlanta.
Yeah.
And no flicker for me. I had, everything on like I'm running right here, and it ran great. And the other last con, I can't go back to single screens now. And this is...
It spoils you beyond belief.
It spoils you, yeah. It spoils you so much. We talked about that budget setup. I don't think we had this set up for more than an hour. Was it, Shaun?
Yeah, I was gone, huh?
Yeah. And we got Shaun set up with soft TH running NVIDIA cards. We're going to show you how to do that in the next episode. So anyway, now the pros. Definitely more sense of speed. Man, the world is just rushing past you in these side screens, which really, goes to the next pro. It really immerses you. Also, tons more visibility. You can see cars next to you. You can see cars if they go off track, what they're doing. You can see the apex a lot better because it seems to be right at that corner of the screen and then see past beyond the apex. Accident avoidance, you can look beyond apexes and see what's going on. In the closed-top cars, it really makes you feel like you're in a car. So, Shaun, what was your... Shaun's been walking all around saying all the time.
Everybody else on Earth is now sim racing, and we are driving real cars.
Yep.
Sorry. Hi. We're driving real
camera.
cars, and it is like you get into the car, you put on some headphones, make it dark, you will completely forget what you're doing.
Yep. Yeah, with the tack and everything, that really gets you all immersed. Open wheel cars, it's really cool to see the tires and your mirrors now. It's really cool. Opponents in your peripheral, I mentioned that. You can get closer to the walls exiting corners, man. You can see that wall rushing right up next to you.
Absolutely.
And last pro, you've got an advantage over your competitors.
Yeah.
This is definitely adds to the experience.
This is cheating.
Yeah, it adds to your view. I mean, you see 3 times more than what everybody, 3 times more what everybody else is seeing. So that's pretty much going to do it. I'd like to thank Chris James again at AMD for sending us all these goodies to complete this system here in an Antex case. Got it sitting here right behind me. And this thing just kicks butt. The system is just, been running great. iRacing will tax your system too. I've tried it with rFactor. We're going to show you some screenshots here or footage of rFactor, GTR Evolution, Need for Speed Shift. Everything I threw at it, it ran. So that's going to do it. ATI 5850 graphics card, Eyefinity technology. Hopefully you got something out of this. Hopefully you can set it up yourself. If not, check on YouTube here. Lots of great resources.
Were you going to set something up in the forum?
Oh, thanks for reminding me, Shaun. I'm going to set up a thread in our forum just for Eyefinity. I'm going to discuss all of my stuff here that I talked about as far as the setup goes. Join in. Talk about pros and cons, how you've got yours set up. Put some screenshots. Love to see pictures of it. Go to InsideSimRacing.tv/forums. Sign up. I'll have this in the hardware section. That's going to do it. Darren Ganji, my good buddy Silent Shaun. We'll see you guys later.
Excellent. Here we go.
Awesome.
That just about does it for today's show. Once again, I'd like to wish Mark Payne good luck out there, who's driving the Indy car, flying our logos.
Making us look good.
And speaking of Indy cars, we have one up on the wall over there. That's actually Darren's car.
Yeah, you have one of those too, huh?
I have one in pink.
And more importantly, these come to us from wall-graphics.com. And a lot of people have commented on our cool images that we have. All we did was send in some screenshots, and the guys at wall-graphics.com, they made them and sent them over.
And they look really cool. We even have the Shabami up there, which I love.
And they're sticky materials, so you can pull them off, put them on any wall.
You can go to our website and you can catch their information at our website, and it's InsideSimRacing.tv. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not yet, and keep commenting on the show. We do read all those comments.
Definitely.
And visit the forums over at our website. And
plethora of information at the forums.
Yeah, that's correct. So I guess that's going to wrap it up for Squeegee and Sherbert. Checker flag is out, and so are we.